Are you the smart one? Me, a man who's been in business for years. Are you trying to tell me what to do? Kelly wasn't about to back down. That's right, many years, and you've been doing it exactly the same way you did 20 years ago. Dad, the times are very different now. You have to change, adjust, to make the profits real. Because you can't move from your usual place, you haven't been able to raise your employees' salaries for so many years. Kelly, I'm telling you again, mind your own business. The workers don't deserve a raise. Look at the way they work. All absenteeism and rejection. Kelly jumped up. It was hard to argue with his father. He had started this conversation more than once. That's right, because the only people who go to work for you are those who can't get a job anywhere else. What normal, responsible worker would go for such a salary? Adam Smith cracked his fist on the table. I made a big mistake when I took you to production. Kelly tiredly replied, Can I go? It's not interesting at all to work where there are no prospects. Is it at my company where there are no prospects? What are you talking about? I have a multi-million-dollar turnover. Not turnover, but profit. Don't you have enough money? Adam Smith squinted his eyes. Dad, what's that got to do with it? You need to develop, not stand still. You're too young to tell me what to do. You'd better work as long as I have. You know I started out as a janitor. Adam Smith turned away from his daughter resentfully. He expected her to apologize, to hug him. But she got into a pose. Maybe I should become a janitor too? I've studied for 6 years for nothing. A higher education, an internship abroad, a red diploma. It doesn't mean anything if you haven't worked as a janitor or a maintenance worker. Adam Smith got quite angry. Yes, I think so, Kelly. If you don't like it, it's up to you. If you want me to hear you, even though you're talking nonsense, go work as a janitor for at least 1 month, and I'll look at you. It's good to try to remake what's already there, but you try to start from the bottom. Kelly's eyes sparkled too. He had always looked like his father. His mom used to laugh when she was still alive. I used to think Dad was the most stubborn, but now I don't even know who's the most stubborn. Kelly also slammed his fist on the chair. It's a deal, Dad. Tomorrow I'll let you know where I'll be working as a cleaner. He left the office and slammed the door loudly. His father flinched and immediately looked guiltily at the picture of his wife that stood on his desk. Linda? Well, you see, I had nothing to do with it. She's stubborn just like me. He sighed. He realized that in many respects his daughter was right and was even glad that she was so well versed in his affairs. But he couldn't admit that he was wrong. How could he admit that all this time he had been arguing and driving his daughter crazy just because of stubbornness? Nothing. Kelly is young, hot, will cool down a little and everything will return to its place. But about the salary of the set of workers he still need to think. He looked out into the reception room. Olivia, I want all the production supervisors and the chief accountant. Then he came back and sat down. I've really got it all in the old-fashioned way, so let's start a little. Adam Smith took up the telephone to call his daughter, but put it down again. What's more, he's a father and he's older, so he's always and unconditionally right, or is he? He didn't have time to think about it because there was a knock on the office door. Kelly slammed on the steering wheel. No, well, how do I get it to Dad that he's wrong? He stopped outside some office. He knew that as soon as he got angry or upset, he wanted to push the gas pedal as much as possible, so much so that the car would skid. But he tried not to let that happen because his mom had been killed by just such a daredevil. He had a fight with his wife and drove out to get some air. From anger, he could not see anything and did not have time to brake. Kelly got out of the car, took a few deep breaths and froze. Right in front of her on the door hung an announcement that the office requires cleaners for the vacations. The anger immediately evaporated. Kelly smiled, got into the car and drove around the corner, looking at herself in the mirror. Okay, she needed to do some work on herself. She pulled her gorgeous hair into a bun at the back of her head, took off all the jewelry, looked at her hands. Manicure can't go anywhere, and on the other hand, she didn't come from the dungeon. Nowadays, people take care of themselves. After all, you can say that she is still studying, and this will be a part-time job. Kelly got out of the car satisfied and headed towards the office. Hello, I saw that you need a cleaner. The woman sitting at the front desk gave her an attentive look. Are you sure you want a cleaning job? She asked. Yes, I do. There's no way I can find anything else right now. I'm studying in the evenings. The woman's eyes immediately brightened. Well, that makes sense then. You want to be independent? Yes, you're right, replied Kelly. 10 minutes later, she was shown a section of her work. She had to wipe the floors, look after the flowers, and empty the waste baskets. Basically, everything was clear. Dust and dirt had to be cleaned by Kelly. Well, have you changed your mind yet? Of course not. When can we start work? Kelly asked. Tomorrow by 8 o'clock you will have to clean the boss's office and the offices of those employees who come at 9 o'clock. The main thing is to be on time. The boss doesn't like it when the room is cleaned in his presence. Okay, I got it, Kelly replied with a smile. In the evening, she and her father hardly spoke. Dad tried to talk to her, but Kelly pouted her lips. In the morning when Kelly was putting her shoes on in the hallway, her father looked out of the bathtub and asked, "Where are you going?" "And I'm Daddy getting a job as a janitor so my father can hear me," replied the daughter. "Come on, don't be crazy." The father got angry. Kelly silently turned around and walked out. Adam Smith shook his head. Sometimes he was proud that his daughter was so much like him, and sometimes he wanted to cry from her stubbornness. No one clung to her, everyone was busy doing their own things. She saw the boss a couple of times. He was always at work and did not pay any attention to her. Kelly already knew that the boss was very young. His father had fallen ill and Paul, that was his name, had taken over the company. At the same time, people spoke well of him, saying that he did not understand everything yet, but he consulted and learned. Kelly was mopping the floor in her office when the door opened. She glanced at the clock. It was 9:30. Who was it that had come so early, she wondered. It was Paul, and he looked at her in surprise. "Hello, who are you?" Kelly smiled involuntarily. "What's not to understand? I'm cleaning here," she said the last words in a raspy voice. Paul laughed. "Well, I see that you are cleaning, but I didn't notice you before." "Well, you just haven't had time for me." Paul walked to his desk and sat down. Kelly looked at him questioningly. "Can I finish my work?" "Yes, of course, don't mind me." He busied himself with some papers. After about 5 minutes, he scolded, "Who on earth came up with all this?" Kelly, who was wiping the dust, glanced at the papers. "Well, without graphs you can't know if everything is going the way it should." Paul looked at her with a chuckle. "And you know about?" Kelly shrugged. "A little. This is the first time I've seen a cleaning lady who can help an executive." Kelly didn't like his tone. Why? If a person works as a cleaner, he should be dumb as a cork. Paul was openly amused. "Well, it seems to me that no more or less normal, especially educated person would choose such a job." Actually, Kelly thought so too, but natural stubbornness prevailed over the voice of reason almost always. "I can tell you for a fact that you're wrong." Kelly turned away, gathered her tools, and headed for the door. Paul grinned at her. Oh, how he was pissed off by dumb-headed girls who for some reason thought that everything in life should be decided by themselves, just because they were pretty. And this one too, so much attitude and no brains. He leaned back in his chair and continued to ponder. She's a good little devil, isn't she? And if it wasn't for that stupid prank of hers, I could have hooked up with her a couple of times. And maybe bring her down to earth. To prove to her that she's a fool. Then she'll come to his bed to prove to him that she's worth something. Paul had a negotiation coming up today. He was going to refuse to let people make a deal. He couldn't understand what was wrong, but something was wrong for sure. Although Paul did not have much experience in doing business, he trusted his intuition and realized that the clue lay on the surface. He reread the contract 5 times or even 10 times, but found nothing. He decided that with such feelings he would not sign anything. He'll do without them somehow. He'll invite that upstart cleaning lady to show her how smart she is. They can't be partners anyway, so they can have fun. Just before the negotiations, Paul found Kelly. "Hello again, the smartest cleaner in the world." Kelly laughed. "That's not original at all. They could have come up with a better phrase." Paul started to get excited. "Listen, I'm here on business. Will you come with me to the negotiations? Today I have to sign a contract. You might be able to give me some good advice." "And how long have cleaners acted as advisors in your firm?" Paul laughed. "You're poisonous." "No, it's the first time. We need to try, and suddenly and really cleaners long ago became smarter than their bosses." Kelly agreed. Paul looked at her without her uniform in surprise. Kelly looked like anything but a cleaner. He had a double feeling when reading the contract, as if he was being deceived, but he could not understand where. The supposed partners spoke long and floridly that they have a lot of experience in work, and that they have been on the market for many years and all that sort of thing. They immediately explained why they had a higher price tag than others. Everything sounded so right and so smooth. Paul abruptly handed the contract to Kelly. Have a look. Paul's guests became nervous. Who is this? This is my counselor. Don't worry, she'll take a look and we'll continue our conversation. Kelly read carefully, then smiled, went back to the first page again, flipped. Looked up. Please tell me, why is the cost of transportation included in our payment? Paul raised his eyebrows in surprise. The guests fussed. No, that can't be. There must be some mistake. Well, there may be a mistake once, but your whole contract is based on that. And I also have a question. I see that you have a long-standing cooperation with the firm of Adam Smith. Yes, we have been working with him for a long and fruitful time. Everyone in this city knows him. I think that says a lot. Of course it does. You are right, many people know him, including me. But I assure you that there is no such firm as yours in his partners. And it can't be. Kelly stood up, handed the documents to Paul and asked, Can I go now? He nodded dazedly. Yes, of course. It was only after her words that he realized what was wrong. Of course it was the same as always. The clue was on the surface, and he was looking for it in the depths. Paul jumped out of the office as soon as he had said goodbye to his guests. The farewell had been heated and would have been even hotter if he hadn't been in a hurry. He wanted to find Kelly, to talk to her. The desire to get her into bed hadn't gone away, but somehow it had changed. Now he wanted to talk to her more. Kelly just came out a minute ago. She just turned that corner over there. Paul rushed outside to the surprised looks of the staff, rounded the corner and stopped, shocked at what he saw. Kelly was just getting into the car, and the car was no worse than his own. So can't we talk after all? A cleaning lady in an expensive car who knows how to find mistakes in a contract. Kelly sighed, getting out of the car. Is that what this is for? I just needed to work for a month as a cleaner. Paul smiled. Now I'm definitely not going to let up. There's a nice cafe nearby. I invite you for coffee. Adam Smith looked at his daughter confusedly. She stood in front of the mirror in her wedding dress. Daughter, when did you grow up in time? Kelly laughingly hugged him. Daddy, well, you give. Is it okay that I'm already 25 and I'm almost an old maid? He sighed. Why did you have to go there as a cleaner? If you and I had lived together, we would have been fine. Although now you'll be arguing with Paul and I'll stop being nervous. Kelly laughed. It won't work, Dad. I'm enough for both Paul and you. How will we live without arguments? Her father also laughed. I feel sorry for my future son-in-law.